Starting your business can be tough. You might wonder where you should start. Pay a marketing company? Your own social media platforms? There's a lot to consider, but advertising doesn't have to be scary. In fact, here to talk with me today about their advertising success are Pat and Rebecca, the hosts of the paranormal podcast, Ghostly. Pat and Rebecca, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Certainly. So I have a couple questions. Do you mind if we just jump right in?
Let's do it.
Absolutely. It's the best way to do it.
Perfect. Well, I was wondering, Pat and Rebecca, could you tell the audience a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, so we are podcasters, but we have our day jobs. I'm a trainer, and Rebecca works in career services. She used to be a professor.
Thanks.
So I often call her the professor.
Yes.
Kind of suits her. We really enjoy doing this kind of work. We really enjoy doing podcasts. We got hooked early on with some of our friends' podcasts, and it just kind of spiraled into something that we really had a goal to make our own content.
Yeah, I think both of us, it's been a fun journey, where, we knew people that did podcasts. We were on a few podcasts, and then it was like, we always kind of thought though, like, wouldn't it be great? And we of course listened to a lot of podcasts, thought, wouldn't it be great to do our own? And it's been a roller coaster, but super fun to figure it out.
Definitely.
Yeah.
For sure. So then, would you mind telling me, where are you based out of?
We're in the Chicagoland area. Both of us live out of Geneva, Illinois, which is voted one of the top 10 Christmas towns. If you're into Christmas stuff.
Yeah, so the western suburbs of Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we like to do a lot of Chicago-based episodes, but we don't limit ourselves to that.
Yeah.
We will do episodes that are from anywhere. Any interesting idea, we'll do a show. So we have listeners. I would say maybe the majority of our listeners are in the Chicago area. Would you say, Pat?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah.
That's our biggest group of people. Yeah.
But we have a big group in Texas. We have kind of from all over the country. So that's kind of fun that we don't just have regional listeners, that we've reached further than that. It's exciting.
It's almost unbelievable,
actually,
when people like in other countries listen to us. It really blows my mind every time I look at our stats and see that. So,
yeah, and I think there's something of beauty to say that with technology, we can reach so many different platforms over the world, like in the ways that we haven't been able to in the past with radio.
Yes,
Definitely.
Exactly. I think when we started, we just assumed like, well, our 5 friends will listen, and that'll be great. Maybe they'll tell a few others, but it's been really rewarding to see it grow beyond that.
So when was Ghostly started?
Oh, Pat, I will let you tell that one.
Yeah, it was started 2 years ago. That was our first official episode. We had been talking about doing different podcasts. We have a friend that does a lot of like fan cast podcasts, like from different shows. Like we also do a Walking Dead podcast. We just started that last year. But so we always wanted to do something like that. And we just, we weren't fast enough, pretty much. The good shows would come out and we would want to do something after like the 3rd episode of the thing. And that's, too late for those kind of things. So we really focused on just coming up with an idea, a concept. And Ghostly was kind of born one day while I was driving to work. I used to have a really long commute into work, and I just got the idea and called Rebecca and asked her if she'd be interested. And at first, actually, Rebecca didn't really like the name Ghostly.
I didn't. I fought it.
She did. She fought it. And then it just kind of caught on, and we just, the concept kept growing.
Yeah, so we started on Halloween 2 years ago. So we
Yeah.
just had our 2-year anniversary.
Congratulations, that was fun.
Thank
Then
you.
on the 2 years, that's really exciting.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But there were months that went into the planning process of this, though.
Oh
I
yeah,
would say we spent about 4 months
easily. Yeah.
developing the concept and stuff.
hmm
Oh, for sure. That was actually my next question was what went into the planning process for the show? And you mentioned it took about 4 months.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I think,
first
yeah.
the
We both
first
just
was
wanted to
coming
take
up.
our time. Sorry.
Yeah. The first was coming up with the concept
hmm
because we didn't want to do a podcast that everybody else had done. We felt that we could be very original in our content, and I got inspired to that there are a lot of paranormal podcasts, and we love them. We
hmm
love paranormal podcasts, and I noticed that there's a similarity to it. It's all just taken for granted, that all these stories are true and real. And I'm a skeptic, so I was like, I don't believe all these things. This can't all be true. So and they can't all believe every single thing that they're saying. So that's kind of how it came about. And Rebecca is a believer,
hmm
and so it was like, maybe we should debate the stories. And that's kind of how we came about with the concept. So
hmm And I think, been interesting, as part of our planning, was researching this concept. Are there other podcasts that are doing something similar?
Mhm.
And there have been a few sort of close to it, but it's really, we couldn't find any, at least not easily available, popular, that had that concept. So that was exciting. I think the name he had from the beginning. Again, I fought it a little bit, but in
yeah.
the end, thank goodness we stuck with it. So those two things, kind of the concept and the name, were like instant. And then it was really, we knew too, we decided Halloween. This was like midsummer. And so we decided on Halloween, and that really just kind of gave us that time to get it right. Pat made the logo, which was great, and has been a wonderful thing. We set up a website. We knew immediately we wanted a website. We didn't know how to do a podcast, so
No.
luckily Pat had some equipment from music, and we were able to repurpose that into our equipment. And then really it's been self-taught. That was kind of our big piece of it, was just trying to figure it out, and deciding on our first episode. And we really actually started doing marketing before the show came out.
We
So
did,
they're,
yeah.
creating the Facebook page, creating, getting the logo out there. We're both part of a group called Memoriam Development, which is like a theater production company that is about getting theater into the suburbs of Chicago. And they had an event, I believe, that fall. Right, Pat, and we were there. We like had a
Yeah.
table, with a sign, and everyone's like, "Oh, we want to listen to your podcast." We're like, it comes out in a few weeks, like it wasn't out yet. But I think that really, we built up the interest before it even launched, and I think that made a big difference
Mhm.
I
for
think it did
us.
too.
Yeah.
Right. So that was like a conscious decision, or was it was this sounds like very planned out. You said it took 4 months to kind
hmm
of put everything very particular together.
Yeah, it was part of our plan. We had a date that we wanted, Halloween, I mean, of course.
Yeah.
Hindsight, I probably would have launched it a month earlier to gain the October crowd
Mm.
of people
Yeah.
that listen to paranormal podcasts.
Yeah.
But it seemed like a logical date to me. We launched on Halloween. We launched with one of our favorite stories, which was Resurrection Mary. It's a local Chicago story, and it just seemed logical. And then the rest of it, I just kind of backwards engineered it.
hmm
I was like, well, if we want to do this, then we have to do this first, and then we have to do this.
Mhm.
So the plan just kind of unfolded in front of us.
Mhm.
But I think it helped us so much to be ready when the
Yes.
podcast launched, that we had the website ready, that we had everything, the marketing, at least not everything, but we had a lot in place,
Yeah.
before we even had our first episode.
For sure. So, do you pay for advertising?
Yes, we do. But you know what? I would say that our primary source of advertising is not through paid advertisement. It comes through helping other podcasts. Supporting other content creators is the best way to promote our podcast. Now, as Rebecca said, we do belong to another group called Memoriam Development, and I am head of their digital content. So I help them with their podcast. And I will tell you that our formula does not work for every single podcast. Every podcast has a different formula that needs to be followed, I guess. And but what we find really helps us is to support other paranormal podcasts. The more that we do that, the bigger that we grow. But yes, we do pay for some Facebook advertisement. We have our promo that we turned into like a little video. Nothing major or anything like that. It's more just to get the audio out there. And yeah, we do that pretty consistently. We pay every month for it. Not much, but what we could afford.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just to get discovered. We feel that our content is strong enough where if people click on us and they listen for more than 5 minutes, they're going to be hooked, we think. So
Yeah, we will pay some on Instagram as well. Certain key posts. Not every episode, not every post gets paid advertisement, but if there's a big episode coming out, or something that a new initiative, like we just started a book club that we're doing with our listeners, so that might be something that we'll pay to advertise, just to kind of get the word out there. But I think our promo, it actually took us two times to get the
mhm.
promo right. The first one, it's nice, just kind of boring. But I think once we got to the second one, it really captured our tone of kind of, funny, but, just
It's
again, the
spooky.
paranormal content, spooky. And I think that grabs the attention of a lot of people that hear it. And so that has been a positive. But I think, yeah, Pat's right. When we talk about working with other paranormal podcasts, we exchange promos with them.
Mhm.
So we'll play their promo during our episode, and they'll play our promo during their episode. And again, that promo is kind of like one of our biggest marketing pieces, and I
Mhm.
think that has helped a lot to get us new listeners. And I think our logo, I'm gonna be honest, I think it's very catchy, and when people see it, they want to click on it. And that it grabs people's attention. And we've had a lot of listeners. Whenever someone writes to us, I'm always, "How did you find us?" Always. And a lot of times it's just they did a Google search and we showed up and they were
Absolutely.
attracted to it.
Yeah, of course. So it sounds a lot like it's making those connections and connection building. Would you say
Hmm.
that's your main form? And then the payment parts of like that Instagram and Facebook, like you said, that's not your primary source of getting
Yeah.
that advertising out there.
You
Hmm.
know, if we tracked where we're getting our listeners from, it is because of our partnerships with other podcasts. And it's not just Rebecca mentioned the promos. The promos is a big thing for us too,
Hmm.
but also it's just being supportive of them.
Hmm.
Talking about them, sharing their episodes, stuff like that. It really it does something. It
Hmm.
it lets people know that we're not just in a business. We are here to give to our listeners something, and it might not always be ghostly that we're giving them. It
Hmm.
might be one of our friends or something, but
Yeah.
we really do partner with a lot of podcasts.
And actually, now I'm thinking about it too, we also have people guest on our podcast a lot too, that are paranormal investigators, or we just had a mentalist on, that was super fun. And I think, I would say our philosophy is that we're not in competition.
Yeah.
That it is never it's never about like, well, if they listen to you, then they won't listen to me. No, like there's plenty of listeners. And in fact, if people are interested in paranormal, we feel like our concept is different enough that even if they're listening to this other paranormal podcast, ours will have a different enough take on it that they'll be interested in both.
Definitely. So you're kind of touching on it already, but growing your audience. It's sounding like, the viewers who listen to a friend of yours who has also been on your show and vice versa, you're gaining those listeners from that way. Do you have another way that you grow your audience as well, whether that be like interaction, or how would you say that you grow your audience?
Yeah, that's actually really interesting because it's kind of an up and down roller coaster story for us here. So there was a thing called Podcoin that was around, and it was a podcast player that would reward people for listening to podcast. And we heard about the concept early on, and we got involved pretty early on in Podcoin's start. And that was something that was free for us. All we had to do was do an ad for them in each of our shows, and they would put us as bonus content where people would get extra rewards for listening to us. And we spiked right then. We grew like
from
tenfold.
Hundreds to thousands. Yeah, it
exactly.
was unbelievable.
And so the future was looking very bright. We were talking to big networks and stuff at that point, where we could have probably went on to make this a full-time thing if this had kept up. But Podcoin, like every good thing, eventually ended. And with that, we were able to salvage probably half of our listeners from that. And so that took a really big hit. And we've worked very hard over the last year to build back up to where we were. And we're finally at that point where we were before. And in fact, I would say that our listeners are more legit now.
I was just going to say, it feels more real. Like those Podcoin listeners, like you would listen and you'd get like your, kind of like your Bitcoin. It's not that, I know he doesn't like it when I say that, but you get your, kind of like your online currency. And so, it's hard to know, are they really listening? Whereas now it feels like they're real listeners. Do you want to talk about the Facebook group though, Pat? Because I think that's that interactive piece that really has helped us grow. I think that was a big step for us that I think we did after Podcoin that made a difference.
So I don't know how technical you want me to get with this, but what I noticed was while we were going through Facebook, we have a fairly large Facebook page, like 7,500 people, likes or whatever. And we would post stuff on there, and you would look at the reach, how many people saw it. And most of ours were only like 100, 200, 300 people that were getting reached by each time that we would, post something. So Facebook is really geared towards you spending money to get people to see your stuff if you're a business. So it really bothered me for a while because, I'm like, we took a lot of time, we take a lot of energy, and we try our best to keep people engaged on our Facebook page, but it wasn't doing anything for us. So we decided we were going to start a group. And groups are great because more people see the stuff that you post in those groups, and you don't have to pay for that then either. And also it increases our community engagement, which is a huge thing for us. I am always one of those people that believe that, okay, if you write a book, that's fine. People are going to read that book maybe, but what makes it even more special is if people find that engaging and can do something with that book and engage with you. Mm-hmm. And so the community aspect, the group aspect of it, our ghostly society, we call it, is really what pushed us even further. Having that allows people to have discussions that we don't even have to be a part of sometimes. Sometimes these people are talking about stuff that we've talked about that we don't even interject at all. And they are all, a happy community because of that.
And then we notice that they then invite friends,
Yeah.
family, people in and join the society, join the group, and have the discussions. And it really is, it is a group. It is a real family. Like, it is a real group. And I didn't know, honestly, when we started this. I thought, I don't know who's actually going to join this or actually talk. And it has taken a while. You know what I mean? It's not an immediate thing. But it has really grown a lot, and I think that's made a big difference for us, and it has allowed us, to communicate with our listeners a lot more. And then from that, the other engagement piece for us is the voting, and that has been something, that is, it's still not exactly where we'd like it to be, but it has definitely grown. And I think the Facebook helped. And then now it's kind of gone beyond Facebook, which is great. So every episode, one of our biggest things has always been that we want that listener engagement. So it's not just about you listen to the episode and then you're done. I mean, we're an evergreen show, right? You can listen to last year's episode today and it's fine. It's not based on, time, but if you listen to us when it comes out, you have the opportunity to vote on whether you're team believer or team skeptic. Do you think this is a real ghost story or not? And so that listener engagement has been great. And at first, we tried putting that vote on the website, and we really weren't getting the votes that we wanted. So society really gave us that place where we could get people to actually vote, in bigger numbers. And then now we've actually been able to switch it back to our website and still have people voting. And actually, that's been our biggest goal, is to get people on the website. That is always the goal, because then we want them to sign up for our newsletter. We want them to, engage with our posts, and look up our different, our episodes and want to listen to more. And so I think that the voting has been the other aspects of engagement.
Very cool. Is there a specific time when your show gained its popularity, or did it come and go depending on how you were figuring everything out? Was it gradual?
So yeah, that's the thing with the Podcoin, right? So it was definitely, I think we had a steady growth. Like, so we started in October 2018, probably had a steady growth until, I think it was probably like February or March, Podcoin came out. And then it was like a huge spike, right? And then that just kept going until maybe September, was kind of the big month in 2019. Then we had a huge drop. And again, that was the Podcoin thing. But now it's been, I would say, a steady growth since then. So, which again, like we said, it almost feels more legitimate, that we've had that. But I do think the Podcoin helped us get to be able to have a base that we could do that with. But yeah, I know if you look at our curve, it's like two bell curves, or like we're on like the second bell curve, but so far it hasn't gone back down. So I'm hoping that it'll keep going up from here.
So that was like with the Podcoin, as I'm learning. So it was quite unexpected. That wasn't in the plan for that to happen.
No, it was not.
So my question then was, did you two experience any like discouragement through that, or were you both pretty resilient through it? What was kind of going on through your head at that point?
Well, yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, when I don't like to focus on the numbers, but you do, unfortunately, that's a driving factor for things. But we really enjoy doing what we do. So after Podcoin went away and, we were discouraged for a little bit, we didn't let that stop us. We decided to work more on our content and to put out shows that more people would want to hear. We're not sellouts, we enjoy what we do. We do it because we enjoy it. And even if, there's going to be an episode that we could do that we know we can get a lot more downloads, but we're not interested in it, we won't do it. It's really about that we love what we do. and we look forward to doing it. We get excited about it.
Mhm. But I will say we do choose our episodes with care. Again, we're not going to do something we're not interested in, but we're also not going to do like the house down the street that no one's ever heard of,
Mm-hmm.
unless it's a really great story that's different.
Yeah.
Then, sure. You know what I mean? We're not going to, again, not do that. But I do think there has been a conscious effort on our part to SEO is important, right? Search engine optimization matters, and having episode titles and episode topics that are searchable, popular, eye-catching, those are all things that we take into consideration. There's some people out there that will do like clever names for episodes where they kind of, it's maybe a popular topic, but the name is like a play on the word or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. We don't do that. We want it to be really obvious what it is, and be very careful with it. And definitely when we create our show notes and our website, it's definitely about it being searchable. And so I do think another source of listeners is we will have people tell us like, oh, I was searching for this topic and I found your episode on this topic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that matters. That has been a conscious choice on our part.
Sure. So were there any, we're kind of like touching on a lot of the questions I have, so which is great. But so any learning curves, is there anything that specifically comes to mind, something that we haven't necessarily talked about yet?
SEO is definitely always a learning curve for us.
Mm.
So we're very fortunate that me and Rebecca have very complementing talents. Um, sorry, that she is, she was an English professor, so she's good at writing, where I am not. I mean, I'm okay. I'm better with the concepts than I am with the actual wording of things. So she does really great with that, and I'm good with the more technical side. But the SEO is always just like it can always be tweaked in such a way that helps you. And we're constantly looking into ways to improve our SEO, and it's a constant learning curve. We have not actually um, developed it to the peak of where we would like it yet, and we're still working on it. But Rebecca does a great job with that, since she does the show notes of the show, and since she took it over, it's been a lot better. I have to say that.
Thank you. Well, and also though, Pat is very good at the quality, and I do think that has been another success for us, but a learning curve.
Mhm.
We certainly, if you listen to our early episodes and the episodes today, while they're very similar, I don't think it's changed dramatically. It has changed. We certainly learned like, oh, like we don't want to take too long at the beginning just chatting. We need to get more into the content right away, or we need to change the order of things. And some of that has been based on feedback, from listeners that we've gotten. We always take that into consideration. And but the other thing is, Pat really has gotten down the audio piece of it. And, when we were even talking to those, whatever big wigs out there, they certainly complimented our show and the sound, and that it sounds professional. It doesn't sound like it was just recorded on your phone. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If you have great content, I don't know that that always is a big deal. But I think especially when you're doing a genre podcast like we are, the quality, it's gotta be there. I think that's important, and so that has been a learning curve too. Just to figure that out, and just in general, figuring out all of this stuff that we're talking about with marketing on social media,
Mhm.
all learning curve.
Yeah.
Didn't have that knowledge beforehand. Neither of us had ever marketed stuff on social media. I primarily handle the Instagram, and then Pat handles Twitter, and then we both work with Facebook. And so it's definitely been a learning curve, to kind of figure that out. And I'm still, Instagram an interesting place that I would not say that I am especially adept at, but trying. That
Hmm.
is still a learning curve for me. I think that is an area we could do more with. But I think our other, I'll just say, philosophy is yes, we want to make money. We want to make this more a bigger show, be able to have more with it. But that has never been our primary focus for now.
Hmm.
Consciously, it's more we would prefer to get more listeners than more money.
Hmm.
Like, we're not going to charge for a lot content because we want people to listen.
Hmm.
Down the road, that might be something we look into, where we have a Patreon, or we have something where people have to pay in order to listen to certain content. But we have consciously for now chosen not to do that, because for us it's much more about growing our audience as much as possible.
Hmm. Well, I think a couple things that stand out to me is that you both have like said in this interview that you're both passionate about what you're talking about. And I think that the viewers definitely hear that in your voice when you're having your episodes. So I'm sure that that really brings people, and it's kind of a niche community as well. But if people hear that you're passionate about what you do, and I think that also played into your guys's resiliency when that Podcoin didn't turn out so great.
Oh yeah, that was a hard time. Yeah.
That was a
It
heartbreak.
really
Yeah.
was. It was,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, but like you said, you're at the top of the second bell again. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
and that's really exciting. And so congratulations on that as
Thank
well.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I guess my next question is, do you have any advice for people who are either trying to grow their podcast or grow their own business? Do you have any suggestions or advice for them?
Yes. I would say, I would say go for it. Do it. Don't be afraid. Don't don't hold back. There's no stupid ideas. I mean, it, ideas need to grow. Ideas need to be expanded. But those initial gut feelings, those fears that you have over things, that's usually the thing that's going to do the best. It's go to your fear, to conquer your fears, to set forth goals and do your best to achieve them.
Mhm. And then, but mix that with planning, right? I think that has been our big thing is, we had the lightning bolt of inspiration for the idea, and we knew, as scary as it was like, this is going to be it. And, this is a great idea. But we also took that 4 months to get ready and to
Mhm.
read and to do research and really think about what we wanted to do. And but also, yeah, don't be afraid to try something. And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, then you'll try something else. I think that's good. Collaborate. I think, again, that's like what Pat said, is,
Yeah.
that has been one of our big things. Is we went to C2E2 the last 2 years, and both of them had actually a podcaster meetup, and that was eye-opening for both of us. We got to meet so many different podcasters, all different genres and different types of podcasts, and it's been great to be able to talk to them, to work with them, to market with them, and just to collaborate. And I think that makes a really big difference in feeling like you have a community. So working with other businesses and not seeing them as the enemy or like your competition always, that you can work together to just grow everything. Because I think one of the things about podcasting especially is that the audience grows not just from people that already listen to podcasts, but from all those people out there that don't listen to podcasts. So any one of us that can pull someone to be a podcast listener is a potential listener for all of us.
Mhm.
So I think that is always the goal. And actually, so one other thing that I was thinking about when we were talking earlier, is always be selling. So whenever you're having a conversation, with someone, if there's a way to bring up your podcast,
Even
we
to
all
your
know.
family. I
Even to
mean,
your,
really.
yeah, really,
Yeah.
is just important. And, for us too, it's because of our genre, it's, hey, do you like ghost stories? And like that can be kind of a good into somebody. But anyways, but talk about, don't be shy. Talk about your product, talk about your show, not in a, annoying way, but and collaborate with
Yeah.
others and do your
Pitch it to
research.
people at Starbucks even when you go there to
There you
get your
go. You
coffee.
got the whole Starbucks crew listening.
Spam the family group chat. Guys.
Yes,
You have to.
definitely.
You have
You
to.
have to.
Well,
Yes.
and people are very happy to support you too. I feel that like exactly like you said, don't be afraid if it's something you're proud to show. Like don't think of it as like, oh, I don't want to be embarrassing.
Yeah,
Right.
especially when they could support you without even giving you money.
See?
They could support you just by clicking a link. That's all
Yep.
they got to do.
Exactly. I'm always like, even if you don't end up listening, because some people will say I can't handle the ghost stories, and it's like, one, we're not scary. We're an all ages show. We're fun,
Mhm.
but that's fine. If you could just listen, if you could just subscribe, that'd be great,
Yeah,
and
just
share it with
one.
others that you think might be interested. We would appreciate that.
Mhm. Well, this has been very informational. Do you have, and then my last question, do you have any parting thoughts, anything, any plugs that you'd like to do at all?
Ooh. Do you want to go first, Pat?
Well, we had to actually take a small break in our podcast because of some health problems that I've had. But we will be returning very soon. We're hoping to return next Wednesday in our Mary Todd episode that we've been promising for like
A few weeks now.
for a few weeks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which we're really excited about. Mary Todd Lincoln. She was obviously a very hurt lady, but a very, very strong woman.
Mhm.
And we can't wait to talk about her. We love the history-based episodes, and this is going to be definitely a heavy history episode. So.
Definitely. Yeah, I think we're almost as much a history podcast as we are a paranormal podcast
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
absolutely.
A lot of research goes into our shows. Yeah, and this is the conclusion of our seance series. So we've had a bunch of episodes on seances for the Halloween season. So very exciting about that. And then a lot of fun episodes coming up that will be announced as we go. But I would just say, we're moving forward. We have a lot of great episodes coming up. And as I mentioned, we just started a book club. Had our first meeting a few weeks ago. But again, the idea is to have that engagement with our listeners to keep them interested and growing, and the books are picked kind of to enhance the episodes that are coming out around that time.
In a
So it's
sneaky way.
well, try to be sneaky. I don't know how sneaky we can be, but no, it's a lot of fun. So we're always open, always trying to add new things, and we hope our listeners have fun. And I would just say, go, like Pat said, go for it if you have an idea. Who I think we really surprised a lot of our friends and people around us that had been doing podcasts, and then all of a sudden we just came out with ours, and you know we get a lot of listeners, which is fantastic.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, this interview. I really appreciate your time.
All right. Thank you so much. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you. We wish you a lot of success.